Good evening. Welcome to the press conference of the President of the European Parliament, Antonio Tajani. Please, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Bonsoir, buenas tardes, buenas noches. Durante il mio
I thanked the chief negotiator, Monsieur Barnier, for his work, and in the course of my statement, I mentioned the three key points which the European Parliament can approve, or rather, we can approve the withdrawal agreement on the basis of Article 50 if these 3 points are covered. First of all, we have the rights of European citizens. So citizens living in the UK, and of course the rights of UK citizens living in the European Union. These rights have to remain what they are today. Second point, the financial aspect. A guarantee that the United Kingdom honours all its financial commitments under the multi-annual budget. So the UK has to pay everything it owes to the European Union. And the third point, which is trickier, is this. The border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. The European Parliament wishes to defend the Good Friday Agreement, which is a value. It's not just a question of the relationship between the UK and the EU. We shall do our utmost to ensure that this border is a soft border, a totally soft border, not a physical border, so that the current positive situation over the last few years, after many years of civil war, can be maintained. But that does not mean that the European Parliament is not calling for strong protection of the health of European citizens, protection of the agri-food industry and European agriculture. We don't want products to come in which fail to comply with rules which protect our health. We don't want agri-food products to come in which fail to comply with our rules, and we don't want animals to come in which do not provide the guarantees set out in European rules and regulations. There is already a phytosanitary arrangement to protect Ireland, so we can have checks carried out at sea, as they are at the moment, in other words, between Great Britain and Ireland. The European Parliament definitely wants there to be an agreement, and that would be a good thing for the European Union and the United Kingdom, but not at any price. If the third point is not covered, the first 2 points seem to be evolving positively. If these points are not covered, the European Parliament will vote against the treaty or the draft treaty. I informed the 28th that before the end of the year there will be a Parliament resolution on the state of play in the negotiations. I also said that the European Parliament is in favour of the hypothesis of extending the transitional period to 3 years, as in the initial proposal made by the European Parliament. This eventuality would be regarded in a positive way by the European Parliament. I also referred to future hypotheses, an association agreement based on 4 pillars: trade relations, internal security, external security, and sectoral cooperation. And a single agreement could be ratified in just one round of ratifications. That would be the advantage. Having said all that, I think that this is a council in which all sides have to be heard. I listened very carefully to what Theresa May said. The tone was more relaxed than in Salzburg, undoubtedly. So there's a message of goodwill, there is a readiness to reach an agreement, but I did not perceive anything substantially new in terms of content as I listened to Mrs. May. I repeat, the tone was the tone of someone who wants to reach an agreement, and the same applied to me. So there is a readiness to reach an agreement, but there's no change in content. Mrs. May recalled the importance of a UK-wide customs area, customs territory. At the moment, there is a united island as far as plant health arrangements are concerned, so this is calling into question this idea. The UK considers that, or rather we consider that the four freedoms can't be divided. They're indivisible. The single market has to be as it is. So the UK defends its customs territory, but we're defending the single market, and we can't divide the four freedoms. So it's a single freedom, and there are various sectors which are concerned. So that is something indivisible. The integrity of the single market is indivisible. Anyway, I wish to look at all this positively. There's still time. We have to vote by March. There's still time to try to reach an agreement. We shall do our best. Our team is working hand in hand with Barnier's team. We shall be doing everything we can to bring about positive developments. So I've said clearly to the 28, including Mrs. May, what the Parliament's position is. And let's hope that the next few weeks it will be possible to take steps forward. So let's hope that an agreement can be reached on Article 50 concerning the withdrawal of the UK from the European Union. Now, of course, the backstop is an eventuality. We need rules, we need guarantees until such time as the new treaty emerges. The sooner we have a new treaty and an agreement, the shorter the period for the backstop, and the longer the transitional period, the longer the period of application of the backstop. That's a possible solution. It may be useful to everybody. So this all depends on how much progress is made with the negotiations. The backstop may be purely theoretical, just a guarantee in case we don't achieve an agreement soon. So I'm at your disposal to answer your questions.
Please.
Mehreen Khan from the Financial Times. President, you said that Theresa May didn't offer anything new in terms of content. So on the back of that, can I ask why you're still optimistic that a deal will be done? And you also mentioned the 3-year transition, which the Parliament would like. Was that something that she mentioned in her address? Thanks.
Sì, è stata citata, non come una proposta.
It was mentioned, both sides mentioned the idea of an extension of the transition period as one possibility which is on the table and would have to be looked into. Now, I've said that there's nothing substantially new in the content. However, I certainly perceived political will to make headway. I didn't get the impression that Mrs. May was suggesting that there was any rupture in our discussions. I think content is important, but tone is important as well. As far as we're concerned, the content is not yet acceptable, but the tone is of somebody who wishes to continue with negotiations and to not let them break down.
Presidente Thomas Mignerina, Televisione Svizzera. Quando diventa troppo...
Swiss television. When is it going to be too late, in your view? When is it going to be too late to reach an agreement on Brexit? In other words, isn't there a risk that if you extend the deadlines and so on, the European Parliament will find it very difficult to be able to assess an agreement in such a short time? Well, we're working very hard on this. We're keeping an eye on every stage of negotiation. Our specialized group is in constant contact with the chief negotiator, Michel Barnier. It isn't just a formality. I, too, am in constant contact with Michel Barnier. So we're very much an integral part of the negotiating process. Mr. Verhofstadt, Mr. Brok and Mr. Gualtieri accompanied me to Brussels today, even though they weren't attending this meeting. As I said, we'll have a debate in Parliament on the state of play before the end of the year. And, of course, the final deadline is to get this done before the UK leaves. And we very much hope that we'll get to the stage where we can vote on an agreement if it's reached and get it done. I hope, because I have to be optimistic, but let's it be clear. We want good relations in the future with the United Kingdom.
Against the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom will leave the European Union, but not Europe. I think it's important, as I said also during my speech, to strengthen the cooperation against terrorism, against illegal immigration, on defense. The large majority of European member states are members of NATO, as the United Kingdom. For this, we will have a cooperation. We want to have good, very good relations with the UK in the future.
Hi, Adam Fleming from the BBC. Do you think the negotiations should restart again as soon as possible, just as they are, or does the UK need to do something to provide something, almost a precondition for the talks to restart? And are you available on the weekend of the 17th and 18th of November, or are you busy?
I'm ready, but I'm not a negotiator. We need to ask to Mr. Barnier if he's ready. But I think we need to work hard. The key point is the backstop. In Irish Republic, we want to protect the Irish Republic. For us, it's a priority. But I think, not only because I am Italian, I am optimistic. We need to work. It's not easy, but it's possible to achieve an agreement. The key point is the backstop. But I think day by day, step by step, it's possible. In the beginning, do you remember the beginning? It's impossible to achieve an agreement on the right of the European citizen leaving the UK. It's impossible to do it. It's impossible on the money. Also, I remember my declaration on my quote on peanuts, and then agreement on the citizen rights, agreement on the money. We need to work. It's not, of course, it's not easy, but it's possible to do it. I want to be optimistic.
You didn't answer my question.
But I am ready. We need to start immediately.
Okay.
But no, but it's not my decision. We need to speak with Michel Barnier.
Lawrence Norman of the Wall Street Journal. Mr. President, can you tell us, did Mrs May talk about a temporary customs union and give any sense of the time period that she had in mind for that today? And did she say whether, to follow Adam's question, did she say whether she will bring any new proposals, any creative thinking, as Donald Tusk put it, in the coming weeks?
No, c'è solo una disponibilità.
No. There's only a willingness to continue with negotiations and work together to work out solutions. Politically speaking, a will was expressed to move forward and reach an agreement, but there was nothing substantively new in terms of content.
Hi, Catherine Nicholson from France 24. Okay.
En français?
In English, I'm afraid.
In English, okay.
France 24 English. Everybody's been talking about a deal being possible. Mrs May talked about days and weeks. Mr Barnier talked about more weeks. Is there a deadline, however, on how long this is going to go on for? Is there a possibility of the Brexit date being pushed back?
No, I think we need to decide before the Brexit. We need to decide before the vote of the European Parliament, because if the European Parliament will vote against, we will have a hard Brexit. We want to achieve an agreement. As I repeat, it's not easy, but we want to work hard for achieving good solutions for both.
Thank you, Mr. President. Andrew Byrne from the Sunday Times. Just two questions. Could you tell us a little bit more about the discussion as you heard it on the transition and the possibility of extending the transition? Did you get the sense that Mrs May was open to this possibility in the coming weeks, or more in the long term, that it was something further down the road of an extension to the transition period? And then secondly, what's your own political sense of why there were no new proposals or new ideas today? Why wasn't the moment ripe for new ideas?
It's too early. I think on the transition period, during my speech, I said we need a transition period, and I am in favor, because this is the position, the first position of the European Parliament, a transition period, 3 years, and not only 2. Theresa May, during his speech, he said it's possible to achieve an agreement also on a transition period, but not with a clear position also on the timing. I think this council is a transition council.
Well, 2 more questions, please.
Barzan Hassan, Kurdistan 24. After defeated ISIL from Iraq and Kurdistan, and also after 2 elections in Iraq and Kurdistan, do you have any message for Iraqi new government and also for Kurdistan new government? Thank you.
Non ne abbiamo parlato durante.
We didn't talk about this during the Council. Of course, our message is always about peace and stability. Peace and dialogue between the relevant parties. So we do need stability.
Hi, Luke James from Yahoo UK. You said the extended transition period was under consideration. Is that by you or by Mrs May? And secondly, I understand that you've invited Mrs May to speak at the European Parliament. Did you discuss a date? And would you prefer that to be in the plenary, or are you happy for that to be only at the Conference of Presidents?
But I underlined it, for the European Parliament to have 3 years is a good solution, because the first proposal of the European Parliament was in favor of 3 years. Then the first agreement was on 2 years. But if among the agreement for achieving this agreement, we need to have 3 years, the European Parliament will be in favor because it's our first proposal. But I underline the importance of the transition period, but May, speaking on the different solution, he said also that there are proposals on the transition period, not against, but more or less neutral.
Thank you. Nick Watt, BBC Newsnight. Mr. Tajani, seeing as you have such beautiful English, can I ask you politely whether you'd be able to answer my question in English? Mr. Tajani, you were round the table this evening, you heard from Theresa May, and you have a special position now. You're possibly the only leader, certainly the first EU leadership figure we're hearing from after that dinner, that presentation. Can I ask you, after hearing Theresa May, do you think we're heading, are you more confident that it's a deal or more pessimistic that it's no deal?
I want to be optimistic because the political message of Mrs. May is a positive political message. We want to achieve an agreement. On the content, no news. But the body language was more positive than in the past.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Il trattato in base all'articolo 50, cioè dell'uscita del Regno Unito dalla più delicato è la frontiera tra. Però questo non vuol dire che il Parlamento europeo non chieda una forte tutela, rispettino le regole dell'Unione Europea e non vogliamo che entrino animali che non abbiano tutte le garanzie previste dalle normative europee. Quindi tra l'Inghilterra e assolutamente arrivare ad un accordo, perché credo che sia positivo per un orientamento generale positivo, il Parlamento europeo voterà contro il trattato o l'ipotesi di trattato. Ho anche riferito che il Parlamento europeo è favorevole alla ipotesi di allungare il periodo di transizione con un accordo di associazione, in caso di accordo sul trattato, di ratifica. Detto questo, erano certamente più distesi rispetto a quelli di Salisburgo, contenuti del discorso della signora May. Ripeto, i toni erano di chi potrebbe mettere in discussione la nostra proposta di avere un'isola unita, così come oggi, perché oggi l'Irlanda dal punto di vista fitosanitario è unita. Noi però non possiamo considerare una presenza sul mercato interno dividendo la libertà è una e riguarda diversi settori, quindi per noi è un'unità indivisibile. Di marzo c'è ancora tempo per cercare di raggiungere, conclusa la stagione del bilancio nel Regno Unito, per raggiungere un accordo sul trattato in base all'articolo prima si conclude la fase del backstop, perché poi c'è tutto il periodo di transizione. Se il periodo di transizione dura più a lungo, può anche essere il caso che non ci sia. Se saranno rapidi, il backstop potrebbe essere soltanto una teoria, qualche cosa che rimane là come garanzia in caso di mancato raggiungimento di un accordo fra le parti. Bene, grazie, se ci sono domande sono a vostra disposizione.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tajani. Please.
Però io ho intravisto una volontà politica ad andare avanti, cioè non è stato il discorso della May, per quanto mi riguarda, un discorso al Consiglio, non hanno partecipato alla riunione, ma erano con me, Verhofstadt, Brok e Gualtieri, quindi stiamo lavorando e per questo ci sarà anche un testo sul want to have very good relations with the UK in the future, alla fine dell'anno. Il termine ultimo è prima dell'uscita del Regno Unito, quindi dovremo votare e io credo in marzo si raggiunge un accordo, in marzo si potrà votare. We are not against the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom will leave the European Union. But I'm ready. We need to start immediately. Okay. No, but it's not my decision. We need to speak with Michel Barnier. We need to decide before the Brexit. We need to decide before the vote of the European Parliament. Transition period, but not with a clear position also on the timing. Sia dialogo tra tutte le parti in una regione del mondo dove purtroppo si vive una... The first proposal of the European Parliament was in favor of 3 years. But the body language was more positive than in the past.